everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. This is where you can come on in, belly up to the bar, although there's no alcohol, and get caught up on some of the latest news involving our Cleveland Browns and get a take along the way, sometimes more, and it usually takes, we'll call it 10 minutes, but sometimes it goes a little longer than that. Anyway, if you can, please like this episode, like all of the episodes, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate it, and I also appreciate the kind words that some of you share in the viewer comments. I love reading and hearing from you, and then I try to respond to every single one of them, so I love having the conversation. I wish I could take calls. I really do. But that'll be the next step. That'll be 2.0, right? All right, here we go. So on today's show, you know what? We might have a problem at a position. No one's even thinking about it. And this position, I mean, it used to be an afterthought for us. Also, first Alex Wright, now Shelby Harris fires a shot across the bow for the entire NFL about the 2025 Cleveland Browns. Hey, and then why you need to pay attention to what this former GM who was recently making the rounds on Radio Row, what he said about one of our rookie quarterbacks and why it matters. And then down in the viewer comments, we've got conflicting opinions on why Shedeur Sanders held onto the ball too long sometimes in college. Well, we're going to try to sort it all out, and maybe you can help sort it out in the viewer comments as well. But first things first, do we have a kicking problem? I'm asking for a friend. Remember, Dustin Hopkins was old reliable a couple years ago. Remember we fleeced the Chargers? We traded for him, a 7th-round pick, and we got Dusty in here, and he couldn't miss. I mean, remember, okay, let's break it down. He was great in 2023, and he earned that contract. So we signed him to a 2-year deal. We're still under contract for this year, so we're good there. But he went 92% on field goals his first season, and then just hit 67% of them last year. And then his extra points fell from 92% to 85% last year. And so, remember, we were in a bit of a tailspin, where, and so Dustin Hopkins, he was so good he was a big part of why we made the playoffs that year. I mean, he was so good, made some clutch kicks, and just couldn't seem to miss. Now, I would joke with my buddies that he had all that money in his pocket last year, and that after we paid him, and that's why he had trouble kicking last year. But I digress. Hopefully he's got it all sorted out, because if you look at our other options right now, Riley Patterson, which, I mean, he was on the active roster there for a minute last year, but also Randy Bullock and Andre Schmidt and Matt McCrane. Those are your options at kicker, folks. Here's the deal. If you have, it's like quarterbacks. If you have more than one kicker, you don't have a kicker. So I really hope that all of Dustin Hopkins' troubles are behind him, and that we don't have to worry about that anymore. The one thing we definitely don't have to worry about is punter Corey Bojorquez will be back. I love that guy. He is money. He is probably the most underrated punter in the league, if you ask me. I mean, my goodness, what he does. Just everything. I mean, when you need him to make a kick, he makes a kick. The guy's just money. Love him. But he too. I mean, we might have to extend him too. So we'll have to see where that goes. Now, where Shelby Harris was going is he went to the Honor the Land podcast, and he had a message for the entire league. This is what he said. Shelby Harris, our defensive tackle, went out there and said, I'll say it like this, they can count us out all they want to. It's up to us to go into the season and start whooping people's beeps. I get it. Last year wasn't the season that was expected, and now this year they're going to say we didn't get prime time because of the quarterback controversy. Who cares? Screw them. And I apologize for the children who are watching the show today. But that was Shelby Harris, not me. Here's what I like. I like the swagger. We need this. I said it when Alex Wright came out and said it. But here's the other thing I think this Browns defense, they love Jim Schwartz. They love playing for him. They come hard every year with this defense. They love the blitzing style. So I think that the defense can really facilitate the offense, especially early on. If they could get it going and create some short fields, maybe create some turnovers for the offense, take a little pressure off the offense, and then what I think we're going to do on offense with running the ball so much and throwing those high percentage passes, this defense can really create some offense for us. And Shelby Harris, Alex Wright, they're all talking the talk. I love it, and then what we've added to this, you kept Myles Garrett, but you got Mason Graham inside to hopefully free him up, and Ward and Newsome are still around, and so it's like this defense comes together, and it could be the driving force. I keep thinking if we're gonna win games, it's gonna be like when Baltimore won the Super Bowl. It's gonna be defense and running the ball, low scoring games. That's how we're gonna win games, but it definitely will start with the defense. So Shelby Harris putting the league on notice. Somebody else putting people on notice is the former GM of the Washington Commanders and the San Francisco 49ers. His name is Scott McLuhan. He went on the Pac-Man Jones show. And when Pac-Man asked him about Shedeur Sanders, McLuhan said he gave Shedeur a first-round grade, and he followed it up with this. Listen to what he said. He said, I think he'll be the best quarterback out of this draft. When it's all said and done, when his career is said and done, he'll be the best quarterback out of this draft. And so you say, Dave, why do we care? This is why we should care. Scott McLuhan, and it is only one T, I double checked, is not only a well-respected evaluator with over 20 years of experience in scouting and personnel management. The name should sound familiar to you because McLuhan was hired by the Browns as a consultant and worked very closely with John Dorsey back then when they had the number one pick in 2018. And who did they take? Baker Mayfield. He was a big Baker Mayfield fan. And I will say, Baker Mayfield has become a very competent quarterback in this league. Now, when we had him, immature. Somebody needed to be the adult in the room, coach him up, tell him to go get fixed. He just needed to grow up. And it took him, he left the Browns, Rams, Carolina. It took him a little while to finally grow up. And now he has, and Tampa Bay is reaping all the benefits. So I would say it was a good pick. I can't, I don't think you can argue against it. But McLuhan was inspirational in the Browns drafting Baker Mayfield. And now he says he loves Shedeur. And so let's see. We will see. But I love the vote of confidence from Scott McLuhan, and I respect the opinion. I also respect the opinion of our viewers. And we are now at the part of the show where we do the viewer comments. And we're leading off with this one because, one, it's a great handle. But two, he has nice things to say about me. But that's not all. He has an inspirational message for all Browns fans. So here we go. The handle, at Kamau, the Quiet Warrior. Love it. He says he's a Chiefs fan and he enjoys the videos. Well, thank you. He says, I'm a fantastic fan and that every organization should have, but that's not why I'm reading this. He says, I think you share a very fair perspective. But here's where he starts to get inspirational. He says, I think the Browns are just run terribly. He says, it makes no sense that we've had this many quarterbacks in all these years. He's in his 40s and been watching the Chiefs since the 90s. And he said, they had all of their own playoff heartbreaks against the Colts. He said they waited it out. They were patient, and he talked about all the quarterbacks that they went through at that time. Nowhere near the amount of quarterbacks we went through, but I see his point. And he says, then Mahomes showed up. And he says, before Mahomes, though, Chiefs fans always remained optimistic. He says, so that's my advice. Remain optimistic and find a quarterback. He says, you all really deserve a championship, man. He says, it's great. It does wonders for a city. I don't even live in Kansas City anymore, but I can feel the winner mentality that has spread throughout the Chiefs kingdom. He says, I hope the Browns don't botch the quarterback thing. He says, but I hope the best for you. And so I got to say it one more time. Kamau, the Quiet Warrior. Really appreciate it. I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate you inspiring me and the rest of Browns Nation over here because, that's what it comes down to, folks. And that's what we're trying to do here. And now that the Watson debacle is kind of behind us, and one of my buddies who is a diehard Browns fan, he says it all. He goes, at least we could go into this season not having to worry about Watson. And I'm like, yeah. So you have that. And we have hope. We have 4 competent, great people who are competent quarterbacks in the room going to battle it out. So there's our hope. And then, like I've always said, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. And you see, and so thank you. Inspiration taken. All right. At Matt White says, if Watson were starting any games, you could count it as a loss. Worst deal ever. Remember when I said if Watson was our quarterback, I would just tell the Bengals, you can have this, you're going to win no matter what. But now, because of what we have in the quarterback room, we have a chance. If Flacco is starting, we have experience and whatever. So I agree with you 100%, Matt White. Now, here's where we got some conflicting opinions. BMF 214 says Shador held onto the ball too long because his father drilled the completion stats thing into his head. But Goo 2027 says he held the ball to try and extend the play, and in this draft class, he was the most accurate and most durable. Let's sort this out. If he was trying to get his completion percentage up, that's fine. But I also do think he was trying to extend plays sometimes. The offensive line, he's on the run. He's trying to make something happen. And accurate and durable, 100% agree because, he kind of took a pounding. But remember, we've talked about all this. All of that can be coached out of him, in my opinion. And I think he's going to learn really fast how fast the NFL is and what he can or cannot do on the next level. And he's smart enough. He'll figure it out, and I'm sure Primetime is explaining to him what NFL defenses can do to NFL, especially rookie quarterbacks. So I'm sure Dion will be sharing some advice as well. And we'll end on this. Tina Goldberg, 4435. Remember when I said, the Bengals were talking trash, the Bengal defenders? So she says, Bungles only have one defender, and it doesn't look like he will play for them. Ha, 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 meow. And Tina Goldberg, 4435, you're right. They're in a big contract problem with the Hendrickson. And so who knows if he'll even be there. But here's the thing. The Bengals defense never bothered me. Every year, never have I go, the Bengals defense. Never. So I'm never worried about the Bengals defense. I always feel like we're going to be able to score on them, and we do. It's Burrow, of course, who's the problem, but we have a defense, and we'll see. But Tina Goldberg, 4435, thank you so much for your take. I really appreciate it. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Please like and subscribe if you can, and get those comments in the viewer comment section. Let me know if I'm crazy on some of my takes. I can take it. I just love hearing from you. And like I said, I wish I could take calls. I wish we could talk about it. But we do, sort of, virtually. That'll work. All right, go Browns. We'll see you next time.